Hi everybody, it's Joe from Prep Agent. Can you hear me? Oops, I'm not plugged in correctly. Hi everybody, it's Joe from Prep Agent. I'm gonna fix my microphone. 1 second. Oops, I'm not plugged in correctly. Hi everybody, it's Joe from Prep Agent. I'm gonna fix my microphone. Better? No. Sorry guys, I'm just fixing my microphone. Does this sound better? Okay. Sorry guys, I'm just fixing my microphone. Well, this sounds way better, right? Yes, this sounds way better. Give me a thumbs up if I just fixed my issue. Better, better, better. Mic check 1, 2. All right. Why does somebody say no and yes? I'm so confused. Erica Rubio, you're messing with my brain. I'm not that smart. Maddie says, you're perfect. Well, now, Maddie. Just going to make me blush. Thank you. How's everybody's day going? Sorry for the schedule change. Had a snafu this morning. But now we're ready to go and learn about property ownership. So we're going to learn about property ownership. What is the bundle of rights? Julie Bryant says, why is there 7 wrong? Because I'm resuming an old test, Julie. Don't worry, Julie. It's not going to count against your exam. Okay, what are the bundle of rights? The bundle of rights are your rights involved with property ownership. They involve the right to use, possess, dispose, encumber, do anything you want with it. It's your property. And when you violate something, you lose one of those rights. Desiree Moore says, I'm here. Oh, good. Now we can begin. Okay, so the bundle of rights have to do with property ownership. That's usually the first thing you see in all your guys' textbooks. Am I right or am I right? Probably the first thing you see in your textbooks when you start studying is a bundle of rights. And the second thing you probably see, or at least on that first page, is difference between real and personal property. Real and personal property. What's the difference between real and personal property? What's the difference between real and personal property? What do you guys think? Real is immovable, personal is movable. Is that always the case? Is all real property always immovable? What do you guys think? I love that runs with the land. Jalen Morris, much better explanation. Why? Because is all real property really immovable? No, be careful with that, guys. I know everybody likes to memorize personal, movable, real, immovable, but that's not always the case. Dun-dun-dun-dum, dun-dun-dum, dun-dun-dum. Give me an example of real property that you could actually like pick up and move. Give me an example of something that's real property that you could pick up and move. A pool covering. Good. That's a great example. A pool covering would be a great example. It goes with the property. Good. I would like you guys to think about something that is personal property and immovable. Give me an example of personal property that is immovable. Ooh, drapes for a window is a good example of that real property that's movable. Good example. Nice job, Vasuda Maru. A dentist chair. Jennifer Meredith has been studying. Good. Trade fixtures. A dentist chair are immovable things, are personal property. You guys see my point? Don't get so caught up with these little memory techniques. Sometimes they can catch you. Sometimes it's easier just to memorize what it is. Real property are things that go with the property when the property is sold. Personal property are things that go with the person when the property is sold. Has everybody got that? If you just, I know that whole real property, immovable, personal property is great and it generally works, but is it really that hard just to remember that real property are things that go with the real estate when it's sold, and personal property are things that go with the person when it's sold? I mean, if you memorize that, you're more likely not to get caught up in little tricks. So personal property, when you sell the property, are things that are going with you. Personal property goes with the person, real property goes with the real estate. When something is incorporated into land, its personal property is now considered real property. What's that called? When something was personal property, it was now considered real property. What's that called? A fixture. Good. What is a test for a fixture? What is a test for a fixture? The test for a fixture is Maria. What does Maria stand for? Maria stands for method, adaptability, relationship, intention, and agreement. See, you guys all remember writing Maria. Nobody's actually writing what the test. I didn't say what the acronym is. Cheaters. I said, what is Maria? I said, what is a fixture? A fixture is a test to see if something's incorporated in the land. Maria is the acronym. Method, adaptability, relationship, intention, and agreement. All right, good job, guys. That's a test for a fixture. I've been trying the challenge of not to have coffee for 3 months. And have you ever tried this? Like, at first it sounds really easy. Like, I don't drink that much coffee. But then when you don't have it at all, you're like, oh, I do. I guess I do. It's been 1 month. And I've had to take some naps in the middle of the day. I've been kind of grumpy at times. But it kind of showed that I was all hooked on it. So I'm trying to get off of it. You'd be surprised how addicted you are to coffee, and then if you try and like get off it. 3 months, no coffee. You go to Starbucks, you got to get the juice. I decided to do it because I didn't like the idea of being dependent on something, like a chemical like caffeine or something. I don't like that feeling of being dependent. Okay, here we go. Let's do a question from the board. When a tenant voluntarily vacates a rented property with no intention of honoring future obligations on the lease, this is known as A, a notice to quit, B, constructive eviction, C, abandonment, or D, unlawful detainer. The answer is A, abandonment. Good job, everybody. If the tenant stays past the term of his lease against the wish of the landlord, this creates an A, estate for years, B, estate of sufferance, C, freehold estate, or D, estate at will. What do you guys think? The answer is estate at sufferance. Good, estate at sufferance. What is an estate at sufferance? Who knows? What's an estate at sufferance? What is an estate at sufferance? A deadbeat tenant. It's somebody who's staying longer than their allotted time. It's a type of less than freehold estate. So you have freehold estates and you have less than freehold estates, right, guys? And they are two different types of an estate. What is an estate? So we said freehold estates and less than freehold estates are types of estates. What is an estate? What do you guys think? What is an estate? An estate has to do with duration of ownership. And yeah, it has to do with an interest. Nice job, Jimmy Brickley. It has to do with a duration of interest in something. We said real property is what, right? We said things are immovable, hence the word real estate. And you guys ever thought about why it's called real estate and why it's not called like a house license or a property license, why it's a real estate license? Well, there you go. That's why. Real has to do with immovable. Estate has to do with duration of ownership. How many of you guys just had a light bulb come on like, oh, that's why it's called real estate? If you got that light bulb, awesome. High five. And we'll move on to the next concept. So you have the freehold estate and less than freehold estate. There's 4 types of less than freehold estates. You guys know what they are? What are they? There are 4 types of less than freehold estates. What are they? What are the 4 types of less than freehold estates? What do you guys think? Estate for years, periodic tenancy, estate at will, and estate at sufferance. Nice job, Miss Banks. You have estate for years, periodic tenancy, estate at will, and estate at sufferance. What is an estate for years? Anybody? What is an estate for years? Estate for years when you have something for a defined period of time. It's like April 1st to June 8th, or when it's like 1 week exactly, or if they say 6 months, or something like a summer rental. Those are estate for years. Estate for will means it can end at any time. And estate at sufferance means you're a deadbeat tenant. You're there past the time you're supposed to be there. I was thinking of starting a podcast. Like, not like a real estate exam podcast, but I'm going to talk about like business and things like that. Like, interview people. Would you guys listen to that if I did a podcast? I'm a little nervous about it. But hey, nothing tried, nothing gained, right? Okay, moving right along. A lease on a real property that is for a defined period of time is considered to be A, a life estate, B, an estate for years, C, periodic tenancy, or C, an estate at sufferance. Thanks for the support, guys. That's why I love doing these classes. So much positive energy. Who needs caffeine when you got this group in the chat? It's all the get up and go I need. Okay, so as we just discussed, the answer here would be an estate for years for a defined period of time. Okay, move right along. The most important test for a fixture is A, intention of the parties, B, cost of installation, C, adaptability of the item, or D, method of attachment. Ooh, tough one. So you guys told me what are the tests for a fixture, but what is the most important? The answer is the intention. Intention's the most important. Tricky question because like all of them except for cost are tests for a fixture. They asked this, and here's why they asked this, just so you guys know. Because if you have those tests for fixtures, method, adaptability, relationship, attention, agreement, right? Some of them may conflict with each other, okay? And so what they do is they prioritize which one's the most important. And intention would supersede the others. Everybody got that? That's why they ask about this. Because in the court, which is when this would come up, they prioritize out of the test, like which takes precedent. All right, here we go. The law. Oh, somebody said intention. How could you know? Well, that's why I have the other tests. The law which gives cities and counties control over the physical design of a subdivision is A, the Architecture Control Act, B, the Subdivision Land Act, C, the Subdivision Map Act, and D, the City and County Act. The answer is C, Subdivision Map Act. Do you guys know what are the 4 government powers? Don't give me the acronym. Tell me what they are. I don't want just some person's name. I want to know that you actually know what they are. What are the 4 government powers? No acronyms, please. The 4 government powers. Nice job, Brandy. Police power, eminent domain, taxation, and escheat. Yeah, let's all write that out. Police power, eminent domain, taxation, and escheat. Great job. Now, if you guys want, write the acronym. And the reason I do that is because I want to make sure we know this, not just know people's names for some reason. So what's the name that we like to remember, to help us remember police power, eminent domain, taxation, escheat? Good. Pete. So now you guys won't be like, I know it's Pete. I don't know why. If it's like pedestrian enhanced theology extraterrestrial, I don't know. I just know Pete. So you guys don't do things like that. Okay, so it's Pete stands for police power, eminent domain, taxation, and escheat. What is police power? What is police power? What is police power? Police power is the government's ability to enforce rules and regulations for the health and safety and welfare of the public. Some examples of police power would be like zoning and building codes. Okay? Those are examples of police power. You guys got it? Right? I got it. What is the difference between police power and eminent domain? Anybody know? What is the difference between police power and eminent domain? Money! Eminent domain, they're going to give you money for your property. You got to go. You got to get out of there. Police power, they tell you how to use it, but they're not taking the property from you. eminent domain, they give you money through this process called, what is the process called? Who knows the process? Condemnation. You think about when a property's condemned. You can't use it anymore, right, guys? When a property's condemned, you can't use it. So that's condemnation. All right? What do you guys think? Condemnation. So you can't use the property anymore. They give you just compensation. If they do not give you just compensation, you file for something called inverse condemnation. Okay? So in eminent domain, they give you money. Police property, they don't give you money, but they're also not taking the property away from you. Everybody got it? That's the big difference between the two. It's money. Everybody got it? Ugh, this is also annoying studying during December, right, guys? You know what? Whatever. How about I just give you the answer to your exam? You guys could send me some money to my PayPal, whatever you think it's worth. I'll just send you the answers just in this webinar. It's unlisted. Nobody has to know, all right? So just PayPal me some money. I'll send you the answers. Just send me the PayPal to Joe at stopcheating. What are you talking about? .com. I'm not going to do that for you. You guys kidding? Joe at stop cheating and start studying, you bad examples for children. Ugh. How many of you guys were starting to write that down? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to send him like $20 for Starbucks. I'm going to give me the answers for my exam. That'd be amazing. Man, I hope your kids aren't listening to this. If your kid said, Mom, Dad, this guy's giving the answers, got to get him some Starbucks, you'd be like, how dare you? Don't ever listen to that person again. But you just, whatever. I need to sell some homes. Okay, here we go. Moving right along. In the ownership of real estate, to create a joint tenancy relationship, there must be unities of A, possession, time, interest, and title. So A, possession, time, interest, and title. B, grantees, ownership, claim of right and possession. C, title, interest, encumbrance, and survivorship. D, ownership, possession, heirs, and title. What do you guys think? Somebody wrote, I would never cheat. I want to earn my real estate license. I'm sure some of you saw that, said, whatever, Rainbow Bright, and rolled their eyes. But we're behind the screen, so nobody has to see you roll your eyes. What a geek. No, just kidding. Okay, here we go. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. We're going to talk about joint tenants here. Possession, time, interest, and title. So what is the four unities of joint tenancy? What is the four unities of joint tenancy? I will tell you this about integrity in real estate. Your integrity and honor is going to be tested so many times in this business. And if you guys look for short little things as opposed to doing things the right way, you'll have a very short career. The people who do things the right way and just do what they got to do and, put their nose to the grind and get it done, eventually it pays off. And I'm not just saying that for some big moral speech, but you guys heard that phrase, a lie turns into a lie, turns into a lie, turns into a lie, and before you know it, you don't even know what you're talking about anymore. There's just too much paperwork, too many people to stay in touch with, too many things to follow up on to constantly wonder about what you said, what you did, what paper you signed. If you do it the right way, you never worry about that stuff. So, sorry, but that's my little tidbit. There's just too much going on to be constantly questioning what happened in the previous transaction. All right, so joint tenancy, that's time, title, interest, and possession. To tip, out of those four unities, which of those apply to a tenancy in common? Which of those apply to a tenancy in common? What do you guys think? Possession is the only one that applies to tenancy in common. Good. Which one has the right of survivorship? Which one has the right of survivorship? Joint tenancy has the right of survivorship, which means that if I take a property with you and I die, you get the property, not my heirs, because you have the right of survivorship. Whereas the tenancy in common, if we take it together and I die, I could will it to my heirs. Everybody got it? Good. So if you're taking property with a corporation, would you do it as a joint tenant or tenant in common? You're welcome, Tammy. So if you're taking a property with a corporation, would you do it as a joint tenant or tenancy in common? Tenant in common, because you can't have right of survivorship with something that's not alive. If you guys are enjoying the webinar, and I hope you are, trying to put some positive energy out here, if you guys wouldn't mind pushing the thumbs up button that's below the screen to the right of the date, I would super appreciate it. It would mean the world to me. Thank you. Okay, moving right along. Police power includes which one of the following? A, deed restrictions, B, restrictive covenants, C, zoning ordinances, and D, taxation. The answer is zoning ordinances. Remember we said police power has to do with building codes, and we also said zoning. Good. What's it called when a zone changes from commercial to residential? Who knows? What's that called when a zone changes from commercial to residential? Down zoning. Down zoning, good. It's my birthday in 2 weeks. I'm at that point where I'm surprised at what my age is. And we ever have that first birthday where you like say, oh, I'm going to be turning what? It's like you kind of forget. You just don't think about it anymore. Whereas when you're little, you're like, I'm 7 3/4 in a week. I'm 9 and 3 months and 4 days. But when you get a little older, you're like, I'm turning white. Whoa. Yeah. I'll be turning 46. 46. Okay, here we go. A landlord sold an apartment building so that a freeway can be built. The tenant's lease has expired, but the landlord permits him to stay in the apartment until the building is torn down. The tenant continues to pay the rent as prescribed in the lease. What kind of tenancy does the tenant have? A, holdover tenancy, periodic tenancy, tenant at sufferance, or tenancy at will? What do you guys think? Periodic tenancy. We went over that before. My dad always said there's 3 ages. You're either young, middle age, or congratulations. And he says that because once you get above a certain age, you tell them you're like 82 and they say, congratulations. He says that's when you know like you're really old, when people start congratulating you for your age. Okay, here we go. Next question. By the way, if you guys don't know, those words are highlighted. You could click on them. And the definition will come up. Somebody said, best way to understand periodic. Best way to understand periodic tenancy is just things go from period to period. It's a reoccurring thing. When zoning changes, but owners are allowed to continue with non-conforming use, this is A, local addendum, B, grandfather clause, C, continuing use license, or D, an easement. What do you guys think? Grandfather clause. So grandfather clause just means you're grandfathered in, which says that you have the ability to continue using a property in a way you were using it before the local ordinances changed. Okay? So you're grandfathered in, and you'd be granted something called non-conforming use. If you've never heard that word non-conforming use before, it just means you're using it in a way that does not conform with how everything else is happening around you. More commonly, the way people get non-conforming use is they petition for something called a variance. You guys ever heard of a variance? A variance is just an exception to the rule. Okay? It's just an exception to the rule. So grandfather clauses and variances are different ways to have non-conforming use on your property. All right. Randolph is renting property from Tyrone. Randolph is renting property from Tyrone on a month-to-month lease agreement. The past month, he didn't pay rent because of a disagreement with Tyrone, but he refused to move out. Randolph's interest would be classified as an A, estate for years, B, estate at sufferance, C, estate at will, or D, estate at periodic tenancy. And the answer is B. Good. We talked about that before. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. Adios, clase termino. Adios, clase termino. Adios, clase termino. Adios, clase termino. Woo! You can catch that song on iTunes, the Juter Christmas album, for 99 cents. Okay, guys, have a great day. I'll talk to you guys soon.